Kelsee Briana J, and I am here to talk about some of the worst products of the year. And by the worst, I mean the worst of the worst, because I am pretty hard on things, but I also can recognize when something just might not be made for me. And that doesn't make it bad. It just doesn't make it right for me. But because I have that knowledge base and the experience of doing makeup and doing YouTube and trying almost everything, I know when something is just plain bad. It's disappointing. It is a failure of epic proportions. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. So I looked up the definition of the word fail, and my Google search showed me that that word means to be unsuccessful in achieving one's goal or to neglect to do something. And that's what I feel like that the products that I'm going to be talking about in this video have done. They've neglected to do anything and they have failed significantly. So I'm going to talk about all of the things that I absolutely despise. I'm going to insert pictures. So I'm going to scoot over because I don't keep products that I don't like. My motto for 2019 was that if it's not working for me, then it's got to go. Got to roll. Get up out of here. You don't have to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here. That's how I felt about it. So I'm going to scoot over. We're going to insert the pictures and we're going to talk about all the products that I didn't like for 2019. Okay? So first, let's start off with foundation. So the first one is the Natasha Genoa Foundation X. Natasha, we've tried this twice now. And the first time that I tried it, I was like, this is interesting. I'm not sure. And I believe it was back in like 2016 or so. And so we were just now evolving to get the type of foundations that we have now. Like we were still in the point where we were using some stuff that wasn't that great and it was just all right. But then we started seeing like the amazing foundation formulations that we have now. And so I'm expecting everybody to evolve like that. And so she took away Foundation X and she brought it back, but then she brought it back like the same daggone way. What was the takeaway from what we learned from the lesson of taking it back and bringing it back? I don't know, because I just felt like that foundation just didn't do it. It was thick, it separated, and it just overall emphasized texture that I probably would have never seen had I not put that foundation on my face. I was over it. Next is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Foundation. I really don't judge foundations for not getting my color right because I'm a unique color. So I'll give you a little bit of leeway sometimes. Now, you might not get my coin, but you might get a little bit of leeway if I feel like overall you're hitting pretty big targets of other people's colors. But Charlotte just doesn't hit any of those targets after the color of J-Lo. If you are darker than a fair-skinned Latino woman, then you cannot wear this foundation comfortably, in my opinion, because I feel like she just does not understand undertones, nor does she understand how to gradually deepen the colors. Like, it was just a big old jump, and that just really disappointed me because it's like you're leaving out massive groups of people that would love to enjoy your foundation. And nowadays, there's so many resources for you all to be able to go and properly formulate a foundation that works for a variety of people's skin tones, skin types, and their likes. Like, there's no reason to not have a foundation that is evenly dispersed. So if your foundation has 20 shades, then 5 of them need to be in one category, the next 5 in the second category, 5 in the third category, and 5 in the fourth category. So there needs to be a natural gradient in these lines, and if there is not, then there's an issue. And I just feel like it was very lazy and unresearched, and I just feel like this foundation has so much hype behind it that it was just really disappointing and a letdown. So I couldn't even get into the formula simply because I felt like I looked like Carrot Top, so I just wasn't having it. Next is a foundation that kind of nailed my color match. It was the formula, the Milk Makeup Stick Foundation. at the end of the day, my skin looked so bad. It just didn't look good. It was so oily. My skin couldn't breathe. It kind of changed colors randomly in certain areas on my face. And I was like, did I apply more right here? What is going on? Like, did I touch something and then touch my face? I was just very confused as to why my skin looked like that. I was just really disappointed by the formulation of that one and how it wore, because I thought that we may have been off to a good start, but it was a little bit dry going on, and I was like, okay, maybe I can blend it out. Maybe I should have put on a different type moisturizer. But then at the end of the day, it was like, no. Next, let's move on to powders. So the first powder that disappointed me this year was the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Pro Setting Powder. So this powder was so dry, and it just really didn't give me the smoothness that I'm looking for with powders. When I put on a powder, I wanted to set my face. I wanted to make sure that my makeup is going to stick, set in place, powder away the shine, really leave me with some security that I did this extra step to ensure that my makeup is going to stay. Not put on the powder, add on a layer, make it look like I put on baking powder on my face, and then make me look like a cake face. And that's all the things that I felt like that powder did, because it clinged to everything. It made everything look like a dry, clumpy mess. Have you all ever had a wet hand and put your hand in flour and put it back out? It was dough on it, right? That's the same thing that that powder did to my face, except for I'm not the dough boy and I'm not looking for no cake. So I just was not having it. I was not happy with that powder at all. And on top of it doing all that, it dried out my skin and it just made me look like I had some type of skin condition. So no. The last powders that disappointed me a lot were the Anasazi Beverly Hills Loose Powders. So they came out with 3 colors of those powders. White, as in white out white, egg yolk yellow, and tangerine orange. And if you didn't fit into any one of those categories, sorry for you. There was no versatility in the shades. You couldn't even mix them together to work. I was like, who's wearing these colors? Like, the yellow was so yellow that you would look like you had jaundice. The orange was so orange that you possibly could look bruised putting this on your face. And the white was so white that the only person that I know that could use it is Dita Von Teese. Like, there was really no leeway in there. Even though there were 3 colors, which is a standard amount that people come out with for loose powders, it still was like, they could have just came out with the one and it still would have been equally as effective. Next is a product that was so bad that I didn't even show it on my channel. This one is the Fenty Beauty Liquid Diamond Balm, aka baby oil with a little bit of glitter on it. That's exactly what it was. Because if you put that on your face, it is going to break up your makeup. It is going to make your skin oily. Possibly you could get a rash from wherever you apply it, because it is so greasy that it's supposed to give you a highlight, but at the same time it's like, how is this supposed to work? Like, I don't get it, because it is straight up oil. And then the glow is so minimal that it was like, why did I just put this on my face? Because I just messed up my concealer and now my makeup is ruined and I have to redo it, all because I wanted to glow? Girl, no. Similar, not quite the same. This product really just messed up my makeup. And it doesn't matter how many different ways I tried it. I tried it with a beauty blender. I tried it under my makeup. I tried it over my makeup. I tried it with the brush. I tried it with my fingers. I tried it with the sponge. I tried this and it did not work. It was the Huda Beauty Tan Tour product. I even went back and tried another color because I'm like, okay, well, maybe the color that I got was too dark. But every single time it made my skin look like brownies. Like, it looks like brownies with nuts in it because it emphasized texture that was not there. It picked up on hair that I thought I had shaved. It just picked up my makeup. It left holes in my face. It wore off weird. Like, in certain areas it would disappear. In certain other areas it was just really prominent. It was just overall not the product for me. And I let so many people influence me, like, no, like, try it like this, try it like that. And I tried it over and over and over again. I'm like, you know what the definition of insanity is? is when you repeatedly try the same thing over and over and over, expecting different results. And you're not going to get a different result because you keep using the same old product. And at the end of the day, the main issue was that product, and it was not me. I don't care. I just really was disappointed by that product because I thought it was going to be so bomb. One more product by Huda, and then I'm going to let up off her. But I tried her body blingy type product, the NYMPH, which is an acronym for Not Your Mama's Pantyhose. And you all know how pantyhose looks. I don't know if you are younger, if you'll know, just because it's not really something that's prevalent in today's culture. But back in the day, your mama, probably your grandma, they made you wear a pantyhose whenever you had to go somewhere and you were showing a little bit of leg and you needed to cover up. The NYMPH was supposed to mimic Beyonce's legs on stage with all of those pantyhose, because you all know she wears like 5 or 6 pairs. I'm like, my legs are gonna look like, hey, 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 hey. Come on. I said, oh, 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 oh. But instead they look like no, 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 no. But no, you want me, I can see it in your eyes. I don't understand how that product royally messed up like that, because I just knew that it was going to be a genie in a bottle, and it just was not. I was taken aback because I really and sincerely thought that my legs were going to be glowy and it was going to blend out and look beautiful, but instead they look splotchy. They looked kind of pretty where it applied right, but getting it to apply right was the problem. So now let's move on to concealers. So I have 2. The first one is Tom Ford, the love of my life, the Emotion Proof Concealer. That just goes to show you that even though you really, really love somebody, that does not mean that they are immune to messing up, because this concealer was horrible. It was just absolutely horrendous. When I applied it, I was like, okay, so is this just going to go on like water, or is it going to thicken up? Is it going to do some magic? I'm still interested because it still can take a turn. Sometimes you have to move on past the first impressions. But then I kept waiting on it to do something better, and it just didn't. So I felt like I was duped because I had these expectations for this concealer, and then the concealer didn't live up to any of them. I feel like they could have come a lot harder than that. The amount of products in that concealer was appalling, and on top of that, the concealer has the nerve to not perform. So it's going to be thin like water, but it doesn't blend out, and it also doesn't give any coverage, and it's not even the right color, and there's not even that many colors in the middle. Okay. The next concealer that I did not like at all, not even in the slightest, is the Maker Forever Ultra HD Self-Setting Concealer. Self-setting of what? Of where? Who? And how? I wouldn't use self-setting as a word to describe that concealer. I would describe it as self-conscious, because that is now how I felt about my under eye after applying that concealer to it. Yes, my under eye was dry. It was lines underneath it that just really looked like paper. You know how like paper is lined? That's how I felt like my under eye looked. Like people could write words on the lines underneath my eyes. Like I was just really confused, especially since it claims to be this independent concealer. It don't need any powder. You don't have to set this concealer. No, not this one. And I put it on and I was like, this concealer claims to not need to be set, but it needs to be something. It needs to be put in its place somewhere, somehow. It's just too dry, too chalky, and too overhyped. Before you claim self-setting, I need to see some proof. Alright, let's move on to eyeshadows, and I have eyeshadows and eyeshadow palettes. So the first product that I really, really wanted to like, but then I really just didn't, is the Kaja Beauty Moon Crystals. Okay, so I really liked the way these looked at first. Swatching them, they were pretty. Those colors were so iridescent looking and just overall beautiful. But then when you applied them, it was a different story. So these colors dried up and then they flaked off. That is the worst. Oh, I hate flaky eyeshadow. It is the worst eyeshadow type you can have, because you'll be talking and then the next thing you know, your eyes will be snowing like it's Christmas. It'll be little flakes all over the tops of your cheeks and stuff, and then it'll be all on your eyelashes looking nasty like your eyelashes got dandruff. It's just, oh, I hated that, and that is exactly what every single color did. And then it goes on kind of thick and it's like, okay, is this gonna dry down? It does, and boy does it. It dries down and then it leaves these patches. So not only do you have face dandruff from your eyeshadow, but also you got patchy eyeshadow. Oh, it's just horrible. The next thing, which did the exact same thing, are these Stila Little White Lies liquid eyeshadows. Oh. And I thought these were going to be so pretty. When I thought about these eyeshadows, I was thinking about all these beautiful primary colors. So they were going to make them more pastel, and they were going to have this really pretty iridescent shift to them. So we'll have like a yellow, and it'll be a soft yellow, but then it'll have a little bit of a gold like fairy dust in them. Did they do that? No, they did not. They produced like these weird colors that flaked off. It was just horrible. Moving on to eyeshadow palettes. So the first one is one that they teased and teased, and they finally came out with it. And I don't know that too many people really cared about it, but I really wanted it because it looks cool and I'm a fan of the mascara. It was the Lancome Monsieur Big palette. I thought this palette was going to be so bomb. I'm like, okay, this palette is going to be the fire. It's shaped like a heart. I'm going to keep it for collector's purposes. And then when I saw the palette, I was like, Lancome did this? Lancome? You mean high-end, been around for 50 million years, Lancome, with all this experience with all these other bomb products that they have? After having all this time to research what their competitors are doing, what's hot on the market, how you can grab a younger demographic, how you can expand your clientele base. You mean that you all did not take the time to research what people look for in an eyeshadow palette, and you hyped up this eyeshadow palette for you all to deliver this? I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. That palette was dry. It was tired. The color story was recycled. I mean, everything about it just was disappointing. And I'm like, Lancome, you already are not known for your eyeshadows. And Lancome has some bomb eyeshadow singles that nobody talks about. And that's because, number one, not a lot of people buy singles anymore. Because singles are more expensive to do than just buying a palette. Plus, it's up to you to create the perfect color story to use them. So people are like, I'd rather just go with what's more convenient and with what's more affordable. So this was their time to shine. I'm just knowing that they're going to put that bomb eyeshadow formula that they have, that's a secret, in this palette, and this is going to be the breakout star of 2019. I just could not believe that they came with that. Like, that is what you made us wait all this time for. Next is the Urban Decay Naked Reloaded palette. What in the dry, dusty mess was that? And again, I really had high expectations for Urban Decay because Urban Decay had been killing it. But overall, I was like, what in the slip up with this palette? Because it was so dry, it was so dusty. The color story was like, I mean, okay. Overall, I just felt like they tried to copy the Anasazi Beverly Hills Sultry palette, and they just failed because the colors weren't even as good. Like, okay, you're going to do a cool toned eyeshadow palette, but still make it cool. Like, don't be lame about it. I feel like it was just kind of like half done, half-assed. Same thing with the Lime Crime Immortalis palette. I thought this palette was going to be so beautiful and so cool, but then I got this palette and I was like, this doesn't look like the colors that it looks like online. And furthermore, what is this formula? Like Lime Crime. Did you all still have this in the lab from 2014? Did you not update anything? Like in that whole hiatus that they have after stealing everybody's credit card information in 2014 and people weren't buying your stuff for that long of a time, I would feel like that would be your time to self-reflect and just improve every facet of your company. Improve the security detail of your website, improve your CEO, and most of all, improve your formula. Because if people are going to give you a second chance, then you have to kill it because there are no third chances. It just doesn't happen unless your name is... never mind. But there are no third chances on average. And so I just felt like they did not kill it, and I was just highly let down because I hadn't purchased anything from them for years. Now, do you think that I'm inclined to purchase anything from them going forward? No, because I hadn't purchased anything from them in a long time anyway, so it's easy to cut you out of my life. Bye. It ain't nothing to cut you off. Snip, snip. Next is the Anasazi Beverly Hills X Alyssa Edwards palette. This palette was so dry. Oh my gosh, it was so dry and it was so dusty. I just felt like whenever I tried to pick up the eyeshadow, it just poofed, went everywhere. Whenever I tried to blend out my eyeshadow, it was poof, be gone. I just could not get a good look for the life of me with this palette. And I feel like Anasazi Beverly Hills just didn't talk about it. They were like, okay, well, let's just come out with 15 more palettes next. How are you going to come out with this palette? But the Rephr palette looks pretty much identical. Maybe give or take 2 or 3 colors different. And the Rephr palette was so much better. So it's like, I know that you all have it in you. It was like, who is over the quality control? Because that quality was not controlled. It was unleashed, it was untamed, and it was unhinged. I was not here for it. Jouer Tan Lines palette. And I thought this palette was going to be so freaking pretty. Like, I looked at it. It had all of the colors that I wanted this summer. It had lime green. It had peach. It had a little bit of blue. It had a white gold color. So I'm like, okay, this is definitely going to be one of my favorite palettes of 2019. But then I tried it and I was like, where's the beef? There's no pigmentation to this palette. They had to have sent me the tester palette where it's really made of plastic. Have you all ever seen that? They don't really do that much anymore. Where the display will be plastic and so it'll look pristine and you'll think that it's the real makeup and you'll go to touch it. And you're like, how come this isn't working? Oh, it's plastic. That is what they had to have sent me. No, it's not. That's not what they sent me because it was powder everywhere. It just wasn't pigmented. It was like when you touched it, it turned clear or something. I don't know. It was maybe a special magic palette. I'm not sure. But it just didn't work for me. And lastly was the Natasha Genoa Mini Tropic palette. And I hated that palette so bad that I never even uploaded the video that I did with my look using that palette. And I did a whole tutorial that took me forever. I was comparing the Big Tropic palette to the Mini Tropic palette, which had the same colors except for it was a mini palette. So it was more affordable, but also it was just really, really not good. And I hated the look so bad that I'm like, no, no, no. You all are not going to meme me. It's not happening. Not like that. I'm not going out like that. It was very dry and I really did not like it. Next, I have a few eyeliners that I really did not care for. The first one being the Fenty Beauty Vivid Neon Eyeliner Trios that she came out with this summer. And when I saw that online for the first time, I just knew. I was going to be a hot girl on the block with my neon eyeliner. And I've been wanting products like that for so long. I love color and I want to incorporate more color into my wardrobe. That's why I've stopped wearing so much black. Like, I still love black, but live your life in living color. That was my motto for 2019. So I saw that they came out with these really fun neon eyeliners and I'm like, that is a really cool way to incorporate color into my makeup. Not subtly, but just a little bit more subtle than wearing a full-on neon eye look. So I swung to the store to get those. And then when I got there, I was swatching them and I still was like, okay, these can be promising. Later on, when I tried them on my eyes, they cracked off, they peeled off, and it was just so messy. And you have to layer it to get the color to be opaque. And then when you layer it, it's creaky, it's cracky, it peels off, and it's just not cute. I was like, they are messing up my hot girl summer eye look. Next, this product's made it to the list, not because of the formula, but because of the dang on applicator. This is the Marc Jacobs Highliner Liquid Eyeliner. And you all know that I am a die-hard Marc Jacobs Highliner fan in the color Blacker. I have a few other colors that I like Earthquake. I love the color Irony. But overall, those pencils work so well with me. I have very sensitive eyes. My eyes tear up all the time. I could just be sitting here and then all of a sudden here goes a tear falling down my eye for no reason. That's how my eyes do. They're very sensitive, but I love makeup. So what's a girl to do? I find products that work for me. So those work for me. So when I saw that he was coming out with a liquid eyeliner variation of those pencils, it was done. This is going to be a shoe-in. I know I'm going to love these because I love the pencils. Not so much the case. These liquid eyeliners felt like I was applying them with needles. Yes. with a needle, and it was very perturbing. I know that I have sensitive eyes, but still, like, I know this has to hurt others. Why is it so hard? And I tried to break it in and kind of like swish it back and forth to kind of relax it, because sometimes when something is very new, you just kind of break it in. It was no fixing that. Like, they were just hard and it would not stop. I don't know. The formula could be amazing. I tried it. I don't think that it was that amazing. It definitely didn't live up to the eyeliner pencils. So those had to get out of here. So we are getting down to the nitty gritty of the fails and the disappointments of the year. And I only have one mascara fail, and that is the Pat McGrath Fetish Eyes Mascara. And this mascara was a fail for me because it did nothing but create problems. And who wants a troublemaker in your life, especially if it's not even gonna be fun? So I applied this mascara. I'm looking for length. I got nothing. I'm looking for volume. I got nothing. I'm looking for blackness. I didn't even get that. All I got was a mascara that I put on my eyes for whatever reason. It did nothing. And then it flaked off. So the bit that did apply to my eyelashes, that did not enhance them in the slightest bit, has the nerve to be a flake. Are you kidding me? And I don't have the world's longest eyelashes, but I got something there. So it's like, don't try to play with me. This mascara is a floozy. It did nothing for me. And every time I tried it, I was still getting the same results. Because sometimes when you open up a mascara for the first time, the formula is not everything that it can be as it will be if you try it a few more times. Because sometimes some mascaras need to thicken up. They need a little bit of time to warm up. This mascara didn't do anything in the beginning or the end. So next is the category of lips. And I love lips, so it's really hard to disappoint me with a lipstick formula. But this one is a disappointment by a landslide. This is probably the most disappointing launch of all time. And I think that most of you all probably know what I'm talking about. It is the Jaclyn Hill lipstick launch. Oh my gosh. That was a nightmare. It was a nightmare for her, but it was a nightmare for me too. I have never, and I mean never, been called out of my name so many times about some lipsticks. I'm gonna be real with you all. Like I said in my initial review of the lipsticks, I really liked them. I did not know it had all of that stuff in there, and that grosses me out. To this day, that grosses me out. I will go and wash my face if I think about it too long. Gross out. So, I liked the lipstick formula because I like neutral lipsticks and I like glossier type lips. So I'm like, okay. All of them weren't my particular favorites, but I liked enough of them to be like, okay, I'm here for this. But then when I saw Raw Beauty Christie's video and I saw, all the stuff that was coming out, that was gross. Especially the little beads, because I've said this before on my channel, but little bitty beads and stuff like that, like, it really, really makes me want to scratch my skin up. So I saw that and I flipped out. Oh my gosh. So that was horrible. It was so horrible to the point where I had to make that video private, and then I had to come back on camera and talk about it again. Never have I ever in the history of my 10 years on YouTube had to do that. I was disgusted not only with the lipsticks, but also by the behavior of a lot of people, because I was getting called out of my name so much, and people were saying that I was lying for Jaclyn Hill, which it's like, newsflash, I don't know Jaclyn Hill. Even if I did, I wouldn't lie for her. Once you lose your reputation and people see you for a liar, you can't get that back. You can't regain people's trust like that. And I've worked so hard on my channel to gain you all's trust and be as honest as I possibly can be about all of these products that I try all the time. It's like, why would I sacrifice all of that for lipsticks? It was actually funny, but at the end of the day, it wasn't funny when I was going through it, but now it's hilarious. If I log off of here, nobody in my real life even knows what I'm talking about. That's what I have to think about sometimes, that some of this stuff is like internet problems. And if you just log off, it's like, okay, it doesn't matter. But then you get on the internet, it's like, everything is in flames. Everything is going down. But then you log off and it's like do. It's like not a thing. If that hadn't happened, those lipsticks were not horrible. They were actually really nice. But since that did happen, that was really disgusting and it was an epic fail. So don't come for me. That's all I got to say. I have one last thing that was very disappointing to me. It was an epic failure, and that is the brand. I just shake my head because of what I thought that the brand was going to do and offer and just be just that brand, and they just let me down. It was House Laboratories. It was Lady Gaga's brand. Lady Gaga was supposed to come through with the innovative products. She's supposed to come through with the sickening formulas. Like, do you all know how trailblazing Lady Gaga has been for the entire decade? The 2010s almost belonged to Lady Gaga. And Lady Gaga influenced so much. Based on Lady Gaga's likeness, I just thought we were going to get some out-of-the-box, different products that she had been thinking about, because this is the same woman that wore a meat dress. This is the same woman who calls her fans little monsters. This is the same woman who played the Countess on American Horror Story. So I'm looking for the fire. And so when I saw that she announced that it was going to be a collaboration with her and Amazon, I was like, okay, that's not quite what I expected. Because like I said, I was expecting something very high-end, very nice. Think Pat McGrath mothership packaging meets Christian Louboutin lipstick packaging. Those very run-of-the-mill products. I can't say that the products were just the worst ones that I've ever tried, because I don't think that. It's just not what I was thinking Lady Gaga was going to give. Therefore, I was disappointed. I was looking for something else that was going to shake it and bring something new. And it was like, girl, what is that? That was everything that disappointed me this year. And I am really happy because actually my favorites video had far more products than this one did. So I think that most brands are getting their ish together. Hopefully next year I can have even less fails, but we all know that there's always going to be a failure or a disappointment video because somebody's always going to try it. So let me know what products completely did not live up to your expectations this year. Which ones were the epic failures? I want to know what you all think down in the comments section. And I cannot wait to see which products you all did not like. Let me know. And I will check you all in my very next video, which will be super soon. Smooches. Bye.